right, welcome. Sorry, I can't wear that the whole time. Welcome to session 2 of our Innovation Ignites Canva for Education series. This week, we are going to look at how you can design like a pro and create and share Canva templates, as well as the Canvas LMS integration. If you were not able to join us last week, our first session looked at some of the Canva basics, just to get you started with Canva. If you were not able to attend, that session was recorded and is available on the Digital Learning Hub. Today's session will also be available afterwards. So if you need to go back and refer to anything, it will be available for you there. We do have a short presentation. Really, it's more of an infographic. We'll get into the difference between those during today's session, available via this bit.ly link here. I think Heather is going to share that link. She has already shared it in the chat. So if you would like a copy of this, it is available to you. But with that said, let's go ahead and dive in and take a look at some of the cool stuff that you can do in Canva along with your students. So, as I said, this session we are going to look at how to design templates in Canva, and then some of the tools that you have available to adjust those templates. Finally, we'll look at some of the share settings you can do to share your designs either with your students, with other teachers, or to the internet at large. And then finally, we will look at the Canvas LTI integration so that you can create assignments in Canva that you can then post in Canvas so that your students are able to also design. Then finally, we will look at a Lumio integration that you can use to take something that you design in Canva and then move it over to yet another platform. So with all that said, let's dive in. To begin, there are a ton of design templates in Canva. That's probably one of my favorite things about Canva is that it's not just for designing presentations or for buttons. You have a wide variety of options. Today, we are going to primarily look at creating presentations as well as infographics. Next week, we are going to look at our top 7 to 10-ish different activities that you can pull in and use with your students. So if you're interested in any of these other topics, come back next week and we will get you all that you could ever want. We've got a ton of opportunities and examples just waiting for you. To start, this presentation that we're looking at here today is actually an infographic. So I'm going to zoom all the way out here and show you. An infographic is basically like a large one-page document. So if you're ever looking to design a one-pager, Canva is probably your best bet. You can design this and it acts as a single page here. There are a ton of templates pre-made for you where it gives you these boxes and then you can size and resize them to fit your needs. If we look at the presentation here, we zoom in just a little bit, there is a link here that you can click to view all of the different templates that Canva has to offer. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And we'll look at one of the infographic templates that we already have available. So this takes us to Canva for Education's lesson templates that are pre-made. So over here on the side, I'm here in the education section. I'm going to look at the resource types and then choose infographics. So if you're following along with me, you're welcome to do that. If one of these others strikes your fancy and you want to take a dive into that, you won't hurt my feelings. If we look at some of the options that we have here, we can start with a completely blank infographic, or we can pull in one of these that are pre-built. One of the recommendations that I always make with people is, especially if you're looking to have your students design something, I don't look necessarily at the content. I'm looking more at the shapes of things and maybe the number and size of the boxes that I have available. So for example here, this one about informational texts. Maybe I don't necessarily need that informational text infographic, but I like the way that it has a title here at the top, and then it has space for, a body of text here. And then below that, it has spaces for 1, 2, 3, 4 different sort of subheadings for, in this case, it says types of informational text, but I could go in and edit that to make it say whatever I wanted. And then down at the bottom, there's a final section here for me to add a purpose. By comparison here, this writing informative or explanatory text, again, I could change that text, make it say whatever I wanted, but it has a nice box here where I could add a definition or some kind of information, a second bit of information, 3 related categories or topics, a fourth bit of information, and then kind of a conclusion section. So really, depending on the information that I'm wanting to share, I would pick the infographic that kind of meets those needs for me. Same thing with this one. If I was looking to explain a process that had 5 steps, I would probably choose something like this to start from, and then I can delete off and really customize it to meet my own needs. We're going to look at customizing a template here in just a moment when we look at presentations. But there are hundreds and hundreds of these templates for infographics that you have available that are great places to start from. If you are wanting to teach reading comprehension strategies, these are not bad infographics. But we as teachers have our own strategies that we've already developed that we want to utilize, right? So while these are decent places to start, I would never say, oh, this is your lesson. Don't ever feel like the Canva resources that we're showing you are finished products by any means. I just want to make sure that piece is clear. Okay, so infographics is one place that we can start. The other design template that I want to look at here today is presentations. So we've pulled up just a few example presentations that I want to share with you. I think Heather is going to share the links to those if she hasn't already. The first one is this quiz presentation, where it is essentially like the Google quiz that you can build in slides where it links, and if a student clicks one option, it goes to one slide. If they click a different option, it goes to a different slide. If you've ever played Jeopardy in class where you built a Jeopardy board and then played through that, this is something similar. So the template here includes places where we have some instructions, and then we have different categories. And then we have round 1, where there's a space for a question. So in this case, it says GCF stands for greatest common factor, and LCS stands for last common multiple. I could edit this, and I could say, the water cycle consists of 7 different parts, let's say. Okay, so fact or bluff. And so if we were playing this in class, maybe I'm playing this on the board, maybe the students are playing this in a embedded Canva, in a Canvas page. If they clicked fact, here we'll go to present mode. If they clicked fact, it would go to one slide. This one may not be built out all the way. If they clicked fact, it would go to the next slide. If they clicked bluff, it would go to a wrong page where it would give them more information and help them understand why they missed that question before they moved on. So in this case, this one is more of we'd click and then it would tell us, fact or bluff on the following slide is how this one is set up. We can also link these to go to specific slides. So if I click on this shape here, I can link to it, and then I can link this to any other slide in the presentation. So if I wanted to link this to slide 8 afterwards, and then I wanted to link this to slide 9, and maybe this goes to a slide that has some kind of a scaffold so that if the student missed the question, They could then go and find out more information, but they would be able to skip that slide if they got the question correct. But that's the first presentation here, is just a way that we can have our students be able to kind of check their understanding via a quiz. This second presentation then is one that's set up for the American Revolution, where again, we've got some kind of pre-built graphics here that include some information. In this case, it gives us a lesson objective. If I were doing a lesson about the American Revolution, there's a good chance that these are not my specific lesson objectives, but if I wanted just a cool picture of George Washington and I liked this font already, or I liked this quill and paper, those things are pre-built for me. I don't have to go and search for them and build out my own presentation. Same thing here. I have a timeline. This timeline may or may not meet my exact needs as a teacher, but at least I'm not having to start from scratch and build my own timeline. I can click and I can edit this text, and I could say, the first battle of the American Revolution happened in Lexington and Concord. American Minutemen stood up against British soldiers, marking the beginning of the armed conflict for independence. So, if maybe I'm going to talk about that another day, I could delete out that part of the text, and then I can always move and adjust. One of the nice things about Canva that we don't necessarily always get in Google Slides are these adjustments or the snapping of our design, so that way everything kind of lines up. That's probably my favorite thing about Canva as far as just design overall, is that things look so much neater than they do in Google Slides, where I feel like I'm adjusting, micro adjustments using the arrow keys. In Canva, things just kind of snap together. So in addition to this one, I've got some additional clip art here that, if we're talking about these different, founders of America, I can grab and just use these images. I'm not having to go on Google image search and do a ton of searching in order to find these things. I'm going to show you in just a moment how we can also use Canva's built-in features to expand on these. Again, if I like a slide, I can keep it. If I don't like a slide, I can always delete it, or I can hide it if I know that I'm not going to want that as part of my finished presentation. So all of those options are down here along the bottom. So unlike Google Slides, where your slides appear on the left side of the screen, in Canva, your slides will appear here along the bottom. We can add additional slides, add pages. We can duplicate pages to have as many as we need. The other cool feature to presentations, and this isn't for every single one of them, but it is for quite a few, is that they'll include a resource page at the end. I know for me, sometimes it's like I get one picture that I really like, and then I can't find any other images that really match that same art style. If I have a resource pack here, I can go and I can grab this Liberty Bell. I can go and grab this ship. I can grab this Declaration of Independence. So those things don't actually appear in any of the slides from the presentation, but I can always go and grab them and then put them in later on into another slide. Okay, so presentations, very cool. I'm going to go to one last one here that is a group presentation report because I want to walk you through kind of what it could look like if we were doing this with students. So if I had this report that I had put my students into a group and shared it with them, and they had gone in and designed, you can go in here on the side. There are things like elements, text tools, branding, uploads, drawings, all of these different tools over here on the side. Under elements, we can do things like add additional shapes. We can add things like graphics. And so if I wanted something that kind of matches the same style, it will make some recommendations for things that might match. I can also search. So if I wanted additional shapes, let's say I needed a triangle shape, I can search and there will be a ton of additional graphics here. So some of them are graphics, some of them are photos, there are videos, shapes, frames allow you to insert one image into another image. And so if I have this graphic here and I were to upload another image inside of it, it will then crop that image to fit that shape, which is a really cool tool that is kind of difficult to replicate in something like Google Slides. It is doable, but not to the ease of just grabbing that and drag and dropping it directly into it. So in addition to these side tools, we can also go to our design layouts, where specifically styles will allow us to customize this presentation to really meet what it is that we want. So earlier when I talked about looking at infographic shapes, it's kind of the same thing when it comes to presentations. If I look at this and I say, I kind of like this, but man, that mint green background, I could really do without that. Or, I'm a guy, I can't deal with all of this pink. If you've done any of my PD, you know that I'm not afraid to use pink. Anyway, we can edit these colors very easily. So I'm here on design and I went to styles. I can come in and pick a different color palette and it will recolor my slides for me. And so if I kind of like that, but it's not quite what I want, but I like those colors, if I click it again, it will remake my presentation using the same colors, but in a different order. If I don't like it at all, I can always swap to another one until I find something that I'm happy with. So let's say that I like that. I can then apply this to all of my slides. And now every single slide in this presentation uses that. So this is a great way that you can kind of start your students with one template, but then they can customize and really make that template not look like every single other template that everybody else in the class is using. In fact, if I were a teacher, I would tell them part of this design is it better not look like that template that I gave you to begin with. Go in, use these color palettes, or even go in and change the font sets. So let's say that I don't like, this cartoon looking font and I want something a little more professional looking. Now this presentation is really starting to not look like that original template. So you can really fall down a rabbit hole of all of these different options that we have here as far as your designs. So again, to get to these, I went to designs and then styles. And then there are some pre-built combinations. There are also color palettes. There are font sets. You can even drag and drop in an image and then say, use the colors in that image to generate. So if I were to grab this picture here of this kid or this image, I can right click and then I can say, apply these colors to this page and it will recolor based on that image. So really cool stuff that you can do as far as customizing these templates. Okay. Okay. Before we run out of time, I do want to show you guys the Canvas templates because that's really the power of using these with students is that let's say I've got a template created and I want my students to make use of this design, right? I'm going to go out here back to my Canva homepage and make sure that I am in a campus team. So if you have used Canvas or Canva before and you have a personal team, make sure that your design lives inside of your campus team and not in your personal team. Okay, so that'll be the one that's named with your campus name. Okay, so I'm going to just add this group report to one of those teams. So I'm going to just add it to the Smithfield Middle team so that it lives inside of that team now. So I'm going to move. More than likely, you're only in one or two teams at most. I'm in 30 different ones, so it won't be too bad. In fact, there's a chance you may be in only one team. In any case, as long as that project resides inside of this team, we should be good. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to go back to my Canvas course now. So here inside of Canvas, I'm going to make a new assignment. So I've already got a module created here. I'm just going to go and add a new assignment. So I'm going to create it and I'm going to call this my Canva demo assignment. Okay, and so here's my assignment now. to add this to my course, it's very simple. We'll just go to Edit. And then here at the top, the Apps plug. We click this Apps plug. If you don't see Canva for Education, just click View All, and then you'll have Canva for Education. We'll click on Canva for Education. It will then pop up a list of all of the designs that are in your team. So here's that group report that we just built a second ago. So if I choose that one, it then gives me the option to either embed this into a page or just add it as a text link. For me, I want to see what it looks like. If I want to get my students excited about what we're doing, I want to embed it directly into the page. Then we can either say this is a design or a view-only design, or that I want to make a copy of this design for each student. So if this was something that I wanted my students to actually interact with and have their own copy, I would choose this new design for each student. Afterwards, it's gone and embedded a copy of the presentation that we built. There is a link that says start activity. If the students click on this, it will also start the activity. So I could leave this or I could remove it. I'm going to leave it for now, but I am going to move it to a new line just to make things look a little bit neater. And so now when the students click that link, it will take them to their own copy of that assignment. So the student, let's say they've clicked their copy, they've gone, they've edited. We want them to now turn it back into us. Right? So there are a couple of options for turning projects in. One way, they could go in, go to share on the project, and they could get a link that they could turn into you. They could also download it as a PDF file and submit that back to you. That's one way of doing it. We can also have them directly turn in assignments in Canvas. So let me show you the one thing that we need to do to make that setting. Down here at the bottom, for my submission type, by default, it's set to no submission. I'm going to have them, though, turn in an online submission, and that submission type is going to be a website URL, right? Yes. And then afterwards, oh, and file upload. Let me choose both just to be safe. I think we can do it with just website URL, but safer than sorry. I can set an assignment date, save and publish this. And now when the students go to, I didn't want an immersive reader, go to student view. Oh, I did not publish my module. When we go to student view in a published assignment, here we go. Start assignment, they will now have a tab that says Canva for Education, where they can then choose their design. And then they'll be able to attach the link. Afterwards, teachers can go in SpeedGrader, they'll be able to see each one of the assignments that was submitted by their students and be able to give feedback from directly inside of Canvas for this Canva assignment. So that's the quick and easy part of inserting a design that you created in Canva into your Canvas course. So one last time, I'm going to leave student view. Demo how easy that was. We went to edit the assignment. We went to the apps plug here. We chose Canva for Education, picked the design that we wanted to embed. I would always embed it into the page. If you want your students to do this, make a new design for each student, and then it will embed it directly into that page. Okay. Okay. So the final thing that I want to show y'all here today, and then we've got about 5 minutes to show or to answer any questions that you may have, is the Lumio interaction with Canva. So I'm just going to take this presentation that already exists, and on the side, I'm going to choose apps. So if you've not used Lumio before, it's kind of like Pear Deck, where you can ask students to interact with a slides presentation, ask them questions. So I went to apps and I searched Lumio. To add this app, I just click on it here, and then it says export my design to Lumio. So I click that button. It asks what pages do I want to insert into Lumio. In this case, I'm going to do all of them. That's fine. And I'll click export. It exports my design to Lumio, and it will give me a link that I can then use to build a lesson. So I copy this. I'll add a new design. And afterwards, it'll pop up here. Eventually, it's importing. While I do this, here's one that I did yesterday. The design is just a flat image, so you would need to go back in and add your own activities afterwards. I'm going to stop there because I do want to give us a few minutes here to answer any questions. Is there anything that's either been asked in the chat or that you guys want to know about here before we leave? Any questions? I already answered it. Okay, perfect. Heather, if you haven't already, will you add the attendance link so that if people want some flex credit, they can do that? Perfect. Thank you, April and Heather. So if you'll just fill that out before 11:59 tonight, we will issue 30 minutes of flex credit. We will add all of the flex credit once we've finished all 4 of our sessions. Again, if you are interested about any of these other design templates, please come back next week. We are going to dive in and look at how you can do things like add comic strips, make websites, do newsletters. All of these other things we will look at a little more in depth next week and give you some examples you can take with you. Oh, did we have one question? What's our question?
The question was, I'm thinking it's in Canvas, but if you have to go back and edit to add to the activities, is it a live link that shows the changes automatically?
It should be, yes. Yes. If you edit the activity after it's been embedded into Canvas, it should carry over. Yes. Good question. Okay. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to hang out and we can answer those. I'm going to hop off for the 4:30 session, but otherwise reach out to your DLS if you are interested in trying any of these different designs in your classroom.